Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today I will share with you some important numbers of the tsunami of outbreaks in China right now and what these numbers mean. Then I will talk about some shocking facts regarding the outbreaks revealed by a CCP high-ranking official in Beijing. After that, I will talk about a very moving personal story that has been widely circulated on Chinese social media platforms. For me, just like Fang Fang's Wuhan diary, it can give us an idea of what kind of state ordinary Chinese people are living in at the moment during the tsunami of outbreaks. So make sure you stick around till the end. First of all, some important numbers from the CCP's Health Commission. These are the notes of a meeting of the CCP's Health Commission, which was held on December 21st. According to the notes, on December 20th, the single-day total infection number in China was nearly 37 million, with an infection rate of 2.62%, which is higher than that of December 18th and 19th. The top five provinces in terms of single-day infection rate are Sichuan, Anhui, Hefei, Shanghai, and Hunan, and the top cities are Chengdu, Lanzhou, Hefei, and Shanghai. From December 1st and 20th, the total infection number in China is 248 million, with an infection rate of 17.56%. There are two provinces that have an infection rate higher than 50%, and they are Beijing and Sichuan. By the way, in China, there are four so-called 直辖市, which means cities under the direct jurisdiction of the central government, and they are Beijing, Tianjin, Shanghai, and Chongqing. These four cities are regarded as a province or are at the same level in terms of administrative structure. So Beijing was regarded as a province when they did statistics. And the following cities' infection rates range from 20 to 50%. They are Tianjin, Hubei, Henan, Yunnan, Anhui, Gansu, and Hebei. In terms of infection numbers, three provinces' infections are higher than 20 million, and they are Sichuan, Henan, and Hubei. And the following six provinces' infection numbers range from 10 million to 20 million. Hunan, Hebei, Guangdong, Beijing, Anhui, and Shandong. Six cities' total infections are higher than 5 million. They are Beijing, Chengdu, Wuhan, Zhengzhou, and Chongqing. Another figure mentioned in this document is that the number of severe cases directly due to COVID infection is relatively small, accounting for only 1.83% of severe cases, and the real life-threatening cases are severe underlying diseases combined with positive COVID, accounting for 98.17% of severe cases. Other than the above numbers, no other figures were mentioned in the meeting, such as out of the 248 million infected people, how many have severe symptoms, how many have died. So this document actually confirmed what I mentioned in my last show, which is the CCP wants to get this thing over as soon as possible at the cost of people's lives. So they only care about the infection numbers, not the death toll, as the infection numbers will give the CCP an idea of how far away China is from reaching herd immunity. Other than this, the CCP doesn't really care how many are sick or how many have died. Another piece of news I'd like to share is a report by Radio Free Asia. According to this report, a high-level CCP official inside the political and legal system in Beijing said that the outbreak in Beijing had started long before the CCP lifted the lockdowns. He said as early as October, when the CCP was having its 20th National Congress, the infection inside hospitals was already very severe. But the only thing they did was not to allow patients to leave the hospitals. They even restricted health workers from going home. At the same time, they tightly guarded information. This official's relative was infected inside the hospital during that period of time. After that, he tried to get his relative to quite a number of the best hospitals in Beijing. However, his relative eventually died of COVID. But on his or her death certificate, the cause of death was a urinary tract infection, and it took him 5 days after his relative's death to get the body cremated. This official said at that time, because it was still during the CCP's zero COVID policy period, not only could the hospitals not report any COVID cases, but they couldn't even treat the patients as COVID patients. So some of them were diagnosed with a urinary tract infection, and some of them were diagnosed as having a fever of unknown cause. The doctors could diagnose it as whatever disease, but not COVID. So his relative was diagnosed with a urinary tract infection. It was only because he had some connections with the hospital that the doctor gave his relative a test, and the result was positive. The official also said that this massive cover-up had directly led to the deaths of a large number of retired senior CCP officials. This official said in terms of social status, he is among the top 1% of the population. He always thought that he had a large amount of social resources. However, this time, seeing what happened around him in Beijing, he realized that he wasn't even able to protect his own family. For ordinary people, their situations must be so much worse. He also confirmed that all the funeral homes in Beijing are overwhelmed. He said, as a member of the political and legal system, and as someone who personally witnessed all this, he was extremely angry that the government would actually blame the Black Pepper Revolution or A4 Revolution for the massive outbreak. Next, I'd like to share a personal story of a man in Beijing who tried to get his uncle's body cremated. It was written by someone whose name is Li Ji and was once widely circulated on Chinese social media platforms, but was later deleted. I was quite moved by this story, as it is not only about lifeless numbers, but the true struggles, including struggles inside someone's heart and mind. We all know about the Wuhan Diary written by Fang Fang, which gives us a vivid and powerful first-hand account of life in Wuhan during the 76 days of lockdown in 2020. This story was the first article I read that feels like something similar to Wuhan Diary, but it is about what is happening in Beijing right now. So the author of the article, Li Ji, said his uncle Li Jianhua died of cancer at home on December 19th in Beijing. When they wanted to book cremation services, they were told that nothing was available in Beijing at all. The wait time was between 7 to 30 plus days. They were also told that all the hospitals were full too, so they couldn't even find a place to store the body. Quote, I was surprised and asked, then what can we do? I was told to keep it at home. This made me panic. Keep it ourselves, put it in the refrigerator. I began to beg and promised that I'm willing to pay as much as possible. I wanted to at least get the body to a morgue for storage, unquote. Then they were told that there was a so-called one-stop shop service which could offer help. The non-negotiable price for the one-stop shop service was 38,000 yuan, or about 5,442 US dollars. And the services include getting the body to the crematorium, a spot in the crematorium queue, which ensures that you can have the cremation done, and the storage fee and the mortuary for one night, but the urn and cremation fees were not included. When Li Ji questioned their fees, they asked, You want to take the body away or not? Yes, 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 I do. He said, I was very grateful and felt that I was lucky. Early next morning, the body was carried to the mortuary inside Guang'anmen Hospital in Beijing. And what did they say? Quote, when we get down to the morgue, I don't know what words to use to describe it. There were bodies all over the place. No, to put it more precisely, the ground was densely covered with bodies on top of bodies, unquote. Because they paid 38,000 yuan, they were given VIP treatment. The body of the author's uncle was directly loaded into a hearse, and they were told to drive their own cars to the crematorium in Miyun County for cremation. Miyun County is about 7 kilometers or 48 miles away from Beijing city, so it took them about 1 hour to get there. They left Beijing at 5 a.m. in the morning on December 20th and arrived after 6 a.m. The article goes, quote, I could see that there were a lot of people from all of town. We went over and asked around and were told to line up. We rushed to stand at the end of the line. Shortly afterwards, the bad news came. They said we can only cremate 40 bodies today. Anyone after that will have to line up for tomorrow. I looked at the not too straight queue and rushed to count the number of people. According to incomplete statistic, we were about number 42 or 43. My sister rushed to contact the driver of the hearse with my uncle's body. The driver said, it was fine yesterday, but the rules were changed today. If you can't get it done there, we can go over to Huailai County to do it. Then he said, let's wait a moment till my boss comes so I can ask. I can't describe how I felt at that moment. I was nervous, anxious, bewildered, helpless, and everything, unquote. Then he saw people trying to have some other people cut into the queue, and many people started protesting. The article says, quote, A guy wearing a mink coat said, "They are one family. This person has been standing in line all night. He cannot stand anymore, so we are getting someone to replace him. This won't affect your position in line." Shortly after, with the same technique, he replaced 3 or 4 people in the line. He also had a form in his hand, and he kept making phone calls to ask, "Where are you now? Have you arrived?" I said to my sister, "This super smart guy who is like a ticket scamper should have a way to help us skip ahead in line." I went over to say hello to him, but he ignored me. He was busy making phone calls. I had thought I would pay him money, more and more money, but I didn't even have a chance to talk to him. After a while, the hearse driver walked up slowly. We immediately surrounded him. He said, "Don't worry, I'm looking for my boss." When he stood beside the guy wearing a mink coat, I somehow felt a sense of security from the bottom of my heart, as if I had finally found my own organization that I can belong to. Unquote. It took me a while to understand this part. So the author was saying the guy wearing a mink coat was actually the boss of the hearse driver, and this Mr. Mink Coat had actually hired some idle men in the nearby village, paid them 500 yuan per day for them to stand in line to occupy a space. Then he sold this spot to his VIP customers for 3,000 yuan per spot. He had 11 customers on his list that day, so his revenue was 33,000 yuan for that one day. Then the article goes, quote, "He checked our names and counted the number from the beginning of the line to the end. He got us to move up a bit and repeatedly urged us to guard our position. Don't let others cut in line. No way." At that moment, I felt I was willing to defend my position with my life. I felt both solemn and magnificent. Unquote. The author then describes how the guy wearing a mink coat moved him ahead for several spouts, and a lady behind started to protest. His sister wanted to explain, but he stopped her. Then he wrote about the struggle inside his heart, and this part really moved me. He said, quote, "At that moment, I was suddenly overwhelmed with sadness. When I was a teenager, I read Lu Xun's literature. I was so young, so proud, and so spirited. I looked down upon and blamed everyone. Lu Xun said, "The Chinese do not dare to look squarely at all aspects, and will always use concealment and deception to create a wonderful escape route. They think they are on the right path. In fact, on this road, it precisely proves that our national nature is cowardly, lazy, and cleverly slippery. They are easily satisfied and extremely easy to degenerate." At that time, I felt that I was beyond this commonplace and despises extremely the foolishness of all beings. But at this time, I felt so complacent after gaining some vested interests. I counted the heads from the beginning to the end of the line and ensured that we were before number 40. Around me were all my family members and friends. They acted as guards to ensure that no one could cut in line. Unquote. As time went by, there were a lot of battles back and forth regarding the numbers in line. Somebody said he had been there for 3 days but still didn't get a spot. The author felt guilty for jumping in line with the help of the guy in a mink coat, but just couldn't give up his spot. whatsoever. So he mocked himself by saying, quote, "At that moment, all my knowledge and wisdom gained through years of learning suddenly became nothing. I fought like a village woman, feeling I was willing to die to defend my vested interest." Unquote. Anyway, after waiting for more than 12 hours, they finally got their uncle's body cremated. At the end of the article, the author said, quote, "Yesterday I heard a notice that since December 21st, 2022, this funeral home will no longer accept bodies coming from Beijing. After hearing this news, I couldn't help but worry about those who have nowhere to go. Of course, I'm not worried about Mr. Minkcoat's small team. They can always seize an opportunity to make piles of money, and because of this work attitude of being able to stretch and bend, they will surely be able to set up a new business empire in Huailai County. Finally, farewell, Comrade Li Jianhua. I will always remember you." Unquote. Well, this article is very moving and interesting to read. I have translated the entire thing into English and published it on my website at jenniferzengblog.com. It is at the top of my website now, so you will see it after you open my website. Well, that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, give me a like, leave us a comment, and share my videos to help me spread the truth. If you are new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you are already subscribed, please like and share my content and check if you are still subscribed. And also, if you could, please go to my website at jenniferzengblog.com, sign up for a membership, or make a donation to support my truth-telling efforts. I'm sorry that I haven't shared any good news before this Christmas, but I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for your support during this difficult year, and I wish every one of you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Thank you. See you next time.